While 2024 was a tough year for the gaming industry as a whole, this was another record year for games in our industry. With over 2,000 new releases on Steam, we are seeing more flavors, more genres, and the emergence of a whole new level of quality in our gaming experience. This year, I'm going to cover the top 114 new releases on Steam, which will be broken into 5 tiers: Copper, Bronze, Silver, Gold, and Platinum, with a clear number 1 overall. This represents less than 5% of the total number of games in our industry to release on Steam, so there are many great games that did not make this video. As with the previous year's lists, because Steam doesn't release sales figures, I use a variety of variables to calculate a game's popularity. This includes the rating based on player reviews, the number of reviews, a game's average and peak concurrent player numbers, as well as the total number of followers a game has. I've also factored in games that were not originally classified by Steam, but had patches or DLC to restore intended gameplay. To be eligible, a game had to release on Steam between December 1st, 2023 and November 30th, 2024. As always, all links can be found in order for free on my Patreon, where you can also see the list in its entirety. First up is Copper Tier. This year, these games tend to be the ones that are the most popular explorations of more common, but controversial flavors like NTR with games like Nebelgeistjäger, The First Lamb, and Self-Defense Dojo. We also have a number of sequels to previous Platinum Tier titles, like Loop Queen Escape Dungeon 3 and Lost Academy Season 3. I don't think these sequels are worse than their predecessors. I just think that the space is becoming increasingly competitive, and what it takes to be a most popular game in 2024 is more than what it took in 2020. Given that, there are still a huge number of lesser-known gems in the Copper Tier, like Miss Neko Pirates, which is great, and I am ashamed to say I knew nothing about it until I started putting this list together earlier this year. Speaking of how much harder it is to rank highly in 2024, one of the biggest surprises for me this year was that Forbidden Fantasy only made it into the Bronze Tier. This game was gorgeous and commercially successful, but given that the developer's previous game, Fresh Women, was Game of the Year for 2022, I was really expecting it to rank higher. Similarly, The Symbiont, one of last year's Platinum Tier's sequel, The Symbiont Reunion, was also Bronze this year. We also had the JasBlue title Paradise in this group, but overall this was a tough year for yaoi titles. I was excited to see the completion of the first part of Lunar's Chosen. This was a visual novel that I first covered 3 years ago, and it was fun to revisit the game. If you're looking for a title with more gameplay, definitely check out Dust City. I really enjoyed this moody pixel platformer, and while it did well on DLSite, I'm not sure it got the attention it deserved with its Steam release. Now we are moving to the Silver Tier, and there are a ton of games with great flavor combinations like Bear Witness, Changeling Tale, and Third Crisis. You don't always have to have the most common or popular flavors to have a successful game. You just need to have the right combination of flavors that the demographic you are appealing to prefers. The Genesis Order is a great example of this. While this sequel is not as popular as the previous game in the series, 2021's Game of the Year Treasure of Nadia, it still does an excellent job of delivering a very targeted selection of flavors. There are so many outstanding games in the Silver Tier. Looking for a more gameplay-focused experience? Check out the survival farming sim Hooligan Crusoe. In the mood for romance? Check out Summer's Gone Season 1. Looking for a combination of the two? Definitely check out Nightly Passions. It is almost overwhelming how many awesome games are on this year's list. Now we move to the Gold Tier. And I seriously recommend every single one of these games to anyone who enjoys the flavors each of these titles has. We've got Pokemon-style harem building in Yarimono, clothing destruction space shooters in Wings of Seduction Bust 'Em Out, run a bar and build a harem in Dust Pub. We even have ancient Chinese cultivation with romantic escapades. Looking for romance? We've got bittersweet romance in Chasing Sunsets, small town romance in Prince of Suburbia, big city romance in City Lights Love Bites Season 0, beach town romance in Onari, maid romance in Working Sakuya, maybe a little summer romance in Amanatsu Perfect Edition. There's also the option for Halloween romance with Love Sex Night 2. Speaking of games for fans of furries and teratophilia, we have Pixel Furries with Hole Dweller, or you can go with a more menacing experience with In Heat Lustful Nights. I'm pretty sure I don't need to show anything from Apprehending the Adventurer-chan Live 2D Tentacle Simulator for you to know exactly what to expect. Not that I could show anything. So I'll take this moment to thank all my supporters on Patreon. You all are awesome. And finally, maybe you're just looking for a little something extra, then definitely check out Benefitship. And now we are at Platinum. Back in May, I asked if 2024 was going to be the year of Kagura games. And while this publisher has 6 games on this list with 2 in Platinum, Mango Party has 9 with 3 in Platinum. The Arrogant Kaiju Princess and the Detective Servant, Peeping Door Manager, and Summer Clover. So I'll leave it up to you to decide who was the top publisher this year. But I think the biggest story is that 8 of these top 11 games were from Japanese or Taiwanese developers. Along with the 3 Mango Party games, you have Nukitashi 2, Dreamlike Love with Sierra, Mad Island, and 2 Kagura games that I'll talk about in a moment. As for the 3 non-East Asian titles, those are Coda's New Journey, Humans Are Not That Against Lizard Women, and Subverse. Subverse. So this is by far the game with the lowest review score I have ever included in a year-end list. Even if you use Steam Score that removes most of the negative feedback, it is still the lowest review score I have ever included. So why is it here? It is because Subverse set records with almost all of the other metrics that I use for ranking. If Subverse had anywhere near its early performance from 2021, then it absolutely would have been the top Steam game this year. However, it did not. That leaves us with 2 titles from Kagura Games, Living with Sister Monochrome Fantasy and Winter Memories. In the 4 years I've been doing this is by far the closest the battle for number 1 has ever been. However, the top Japanese game of 2023, Winter Memories, managed to come out on top and is the top adult Steam game of 2024. Congratulations to this ridiculously redacted slice-of-life harem romance. 2024 was the best year yet for adult games on Steam, and I am so excited for 2025. Let me know what your favorite Steam title was this year, and what you're looking forward to playing. Next time is the Game of the Year video, where I take all of the top performing games from all over the world and break them down by most popular flavors. And until then, no shaming, just gaming.